Hello YouTube, this is a video to describe a problem I've been having with my GP100 357 Ruger 7-shot revolver. Just got this last month. It's a fairly new gun, came out I believe in December of 2017. When I try and use Blazer brass 38 special ammo in it, the rims bind in the cylinder. So the rims are like too large a diameter for the spacing of the chambers in the cylinder. So when you put all 7 rounds in there, the last round tries to overlap the previously installed rounds, and if you push it in, it will bind against those rims. Sometimes it will bind before you even get to the 7th round. It'll bind it'll bind with rounds in adjacent chambers because it already tries to overlap. The rims are too big a diameter for the chamber spacing. And so far, the only ammo that I've had problems with is Blazer brass 38 special ammo. I've just tried Full Metal Jacket. I think maybe that's all they make. I don't know for 38 special. Their 357 ammo works fine. 38 special is the only problem I've had. I've tried 4 other ammo brands: Winchester, Remington, Aguila, and American Eagle, and don't have a problem with them. Just the Blazer brass. So this video is basically to summarize what my own observations are. I'm not a gun expert. I'm a retired engineer, but I can only say what I see. And I'm putting this video out there because I wish I would have known some of these things before I bought the gun. Not to say that I wouldn't necessarily have bought the gun anyway, but this is good information I think would have been useful to have. The GP100 revolver came out as a 6-shot revolver. When they came out with a 7-shot revolver, they had to squeeze an extra chamber in there to make it 7. And they wanted to use, presumably they wanted to use the same frame, the same GP100 gun, and just change the cylinder. To do that, they had to confine the cylinder diameter to what would fit in the existing frame. So they couldn't grow the size of the diameter of the cylinder to accommodate more chambers, or to allow for more space between the chambers. So these chambers are fairly close together. The cylinder can't really grow any larger in diameter because the space between the frame and the cylinder is already about 15 mils, 15 thousandths of an inch according to my feeler gauges. What makes this an interesting issue is that this Blazer brass ammo, which doesn't fit well in this gun, is not out of spec. It's not too big. It complies with the ANSI SAAMI dimensions for 38 caliber ammunition. The rim diameter is less than 440 mils in diameter, and so it's well within the SAAMI specs, and yet it still binds when you install it in this revolver. And I think the reason is that because they couldn't accommodate ammo in this gun that goes up to 440 mils of rim diameter, because they just didn't have they couldn't space out the chambers. So they compromised, and most manufacturers of ammunition don't make the rounds so that they're that big, so they fit in here. Blazer brass ammo is a little larger than the other ammo brands. So this video is to just show the measurements of the various ammo, to show that the 4 other brands that I've tested are smaller in diameter than the Blazer brass, and to show that the Blazer brass ammunition is in spec. It's not as big as the spec allows, and still doesn't fit. And then the last part of the video I'll show the binding so that you can actually see the binding. There is 2 other videos that lead up to this, and there's been a lot of discussions. I've had a lot of interaction with people on the forums, Ruger forums, Ruger pistol forums, the Ruger forums. They've been real helpful, have contributed a lot, but this pretty much summarizes. This video is designed to summarize and put the whole story together in one video. So I'll leave it at that. You can watch the other 2 parts where I bring the camera up close and show you the measurements, and then show you the binding, and take from it what you will. If you're thinking of buying a 7-shot GP100, this information could probably come in useful, because I think basically any ammunition that creeps up in rim diameter towards that upper bound, that 440 mils, is not going to work in this gun. And I don't think that would be true in the 6-shot version of it. Okay? Okay, here we are up close. This is the Blazer brass ammo that I've been using. There's 7 rounds here in red. Those are the ones I've been using for the other videos, just for consistency's sake. And I'm going to show you what the diameter is on the rims on these. First one is 436. .436. 436, 437, 436, 436. So that gives you an idea that, make sure it's still zeroed. It is still zeroed. Last one here, 436. The rest of them are like that too. I mean, it's just for consistency that I wanted to use the same ones. This one's 435, 436. They're pretty much very similar. So you can grab 7 rounds out of here, 437. You can grab 7 rounds out of this box of Blazer brass, and the chances are you will have the binding issue. And I also have another full box of 38 Special, pretty much the same way. Pull out 7 rounds at random, and you will probably get the binding issue. Now, I had 4 other types of ammo, but now I've only got 3 left because I shot all the American Eagle today. So make sure it's still zeroed. It is. And here's the Winchester. Looks like 435. 435, 436. 435. 434, 434, 434, 434. Let's make sure it's still zeroed. It is. Okay, 434. So they're a mil or 2 smaller in diameter, which is makes all the difference in the world. 435. So the other ones are reading pretty much 435 to 437. That's the Blazer brass, mostly 436. These are reading 434, 435. Here is 434. This is Remington. 432. 435, 434, 433, 433, yeah, 433. Okay, so they're actually reading slightly better than the Winchester, but the Winchester does work. Okay, this is Aguila. Oops, make sure it's still zeroed. It is. Okay, 433. 432. 432.5. 432.5. I keep that little 5 is barely, it's very tiny, but it has a resolution of 5/10,000ths of an inch. So 432.5. So again, these are even smaller than the Winchesters that I looked at first. Okay, and what I have on here is I have notes on these boxes that with these 2 boxes of ammo, I was actually able to get a feeler gauge between the rounds when they were loaded in the cylinder, a feeler gauge of 1.5 mils. So there's a little space on these. In every case, I was able to get that feeler gauge between the rims on the rounds loaded into the cylinder. That wasn't true of the Winchester. I did get some where I couldn't fit the feeler gauge in there, and there was practically no occasions where I could get the feeler gauge between the 38 special ammo from Blazer Brass. Again, all the ammo I'm looking at here is 38 special. The 357 though also does work in the gun without binding. Okay, here we are now, the close-up of the cylinder. I'm going to load in the Blazer Brass ammo and see if we can illustrate how the binding is happening. So you can see it. There it is. Okay, it's right here. It's probably hard to see, but this round is not going in. Kind of difficult to see, but this round is sticking out a little bit. And if I push it in, it will make it very difficult. It can make it very difficult to get out. Okay, I was able to get it to go in that time. So let's try and put them in a little bit different sequence this time. Now this time it's this one binding. It's usually the last one. So it's this one binding. I can push it in. Oops. It can make it difficult to, when you push it in, it can make it difficult to eject them because they're binding. This one's binding now. So this time, this one right here is binding. You can see it sticking out. Sometimes I've had more than one sticking out. I'm not going to bother. If I push that in, it will just be, it's going to be hard to get this one in. So it depends on the sequence. If you move them around in the different chambers, it varies too. There's some kind of randomness to it, and I'm not entirely sure why that is. It could be because the rims are not perfectly concentric with the body diameter. It could be, there's some randomness to it, but they almost always bind. Sometimes you can pull a set of 7 rounds and they won't bind at all. You take them out, dump them out, put them in again, and they will bind. So that is the binding problem that I'm talking about using Blazer Brass ammo, and it would be any ammo that approaches the upper limit to the SAAMI rim diameter spec on 38 caliber or 357 Magnum ammunition. But if you get close to that maximum rim diameter spec with the ammo, it will not work in this gun.